Here we are. The title of my talk today is It's Time to Renew. You ever get notifications like that in your mail? It's time to renew your subscription to yourself. Traveling the path of non-resistance into awakening, going with the flow. That's what my talk's about today. I'll say it again. It's time to renew your subscription to yourself, traveling the path of non-resistance into awakening and going with the flow. That's a long title, I know. It's sort of like titles with talking points all rolled into one. But I have a tune that, y'all, I mentioned this to a couple of you earlier, but I hope you don't mind being guinea pigs today. I just wrote this talk when I got back from Hawaii, and I just wrote it this week, really. But the song started coming to me when I was over there, and I just finished it. It's debatable whether it's finished or not, but I wanted to play it for y'all because it really fits.
Inspired.
It fits what I want to talk about today, which is, I mentioned renewal, awakening is part of renewal, and this song is called We Are Awakened. I might ask for a few finger snaps in here later. Okay. We'll see. It goes through some grooves, some changes. So it's got a lot of. The reason I'm saying it, the guinea pigs, it's got a lot of guitar work in it. I don't know why I do this to myself, but anyway, I do want to mention it's also about tropical fruit and winding roads. So, we are awakened. Yeah. You gotta have light, you gotta have love, a dash of mango, papaya, above, add some joy, and is that enough? You gotta have some diversity, gotta throw in a lot of equity with a bit of inclusion and belonging too. On this little journey so far from home, nature tells us we're never alone. Love is what you are and what you make it. So if you let yourself be awakened, well, you gotta have light, you gotta have love, a dash of mango, papaya, love, add some joy. Is that enough? You gotta have a lot of diversity, gotta throw in a little equity with a bit of inclusion and belonging too. Twists and turns can make things seem like you're on the longest mile, and even where it's leading you can take a while. It's okay, sounds like we're awakened. Yeah, we're awakened. Oh, we're awakened. Oh, we're awakened. Well, the joy that flows to you is the same joy that flows to me. The joy that flows to you is the joy that flows to me when we're awakened. Yeah, we're awakened. You gotta have love, you gotta have light, peace and joy in the day and the night, and the steps you take. Are we awake? Snaps here. You gotta have peace, we gotta have love, you gotta have joy in every step you take. Have some light, and you're awake. You gotta have love, you gotta have light, your peace and joy in the day and the night, and the steps you take to be awake. You gotta have peace, you gotta have love, you gotta have joy in every step you take. Have some light, and you're awake. Yeah, we're awakened. Yeah, we're awakened. Oh, we're awakened. Yeah, we're awakened. mentioned the song is about awakening, renewal, non-resistance, nature, and what was very inspiring about it. Nature, as we all know, is a great way to renew. And having just returned from Hawaii, like I said, it really showed me again how much time spent in nature, and for me near water, I'm just a water freak, beach bum and all that, how important that is for healing, and it's necessary for mental, physical, and spiritual health. Spiritual health being the act of becoming aware of your divine self. And that's where I'm going with that. That's renewal. Inspired by being aware of the creations around us. It all works together, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, all in this interweb of consciousness. I just, you don't have to take a long trip. I feel very blessed to have been able to do that. But I've just walking outside under a tree and getting away from the street is sometimes just being taken. It's so healing to me. And I think to much people, I think if more people did that, the world might be in a different state. Just kind of use that to go inside. And I know we've heard so much in the traditional Christian, when you say renew, you think, oh, born anew. There is definitely a traditional Christianity viewpoint on renewal, obviously. But what I'm talking about here is a renewed sense of purpose and becoming more aware, becoming more awakened, and that's where I'm going with this. And in process of doing so, removing resistance to these. An example of resistance, as you might know, in electronics is you add more resistance to a circuit, it's going to reduce the current flow in the circuit. Perfect example is a volume knob. You turn down a volume knob, it increases the resistance. You turn up a volume knob, it decreases it and it gets louder. So think of, shouting it from the mountaintops. There's no resistance there, non-resistance, right? So, question, do any of y'all have any resistance to doing new things?
Never.
Never? Are you ever in the middle of doing something new and creative? You kind of start it, you had an idea, and then you stop in the middle and drop it and forget. You say, hang on, what the heck am I doing here? Yeah, that happens to everybody. It happens to me. And there's one thing, though, as I'm getting to where people might call me old, all this, is I never want to stop doing new things and exploring.
Yeah.
Hence, why would I think about becoming an LUT in my 60s, right? It's like, what? Okay, fine. It's a good thing, Late 60s to boot.
It's awakening time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, always, and I feel very revitalized with that too. It's, writing new songs and things like that as well. So non-resistance is moving on your path to co-create, right? We're co-creating with God, with divine self, with the divine, a new reality. But first, in order to be able to co-create, I think, and I love the way this phrase is coined, is you have to face your own creation. Okay? That's the line that Don Miguel Ruiz, I think who wrote the Four Agreements. That's a term he coined. Facing your own creation. He wrote a great article in this publication called The Fifth Agreement, coincidentally. But co-creating a new reality, your own reality, that's relative. Your own reality in the physical world is relative. That's in sync with your divine reality, your divine mind, which is absolute reality. I know I've talked about that before. There being not two different realities, absolute and relative. They're just aspects of one. For oneness really plays in. And that results in a beautiful manifestation of divine order. So facing your own creation. Sometimes it's not just co-creating, but it's facing the stuff that you've gone through first and getting rid of that stuff that you were in order to be what you are and can be, or will be, if you like to use that term. Some people don't say, I can be, they say, I will be, which is the essence of, positive affirmation. I did an essay on facing your own creation recently. Coincidentally, it was for school, right? Anyway. And what it'd be like to be in the desert, so to speak, as Jesus was in the 40 days when he was on his own and self-discovery, meditation, and prayer. What are you doing when you face your own creation, when you're in your own 40 days? What you're doing, though, is you have to face every single belief. And I really went into some deep reflection about this, that you've had about yourself, and that you've learned your entire life, right? And everything everyone ever told you about who you were or what you did or what you were doing, good or bad. And the important thing is when you're thinking of all this stuff, to not resist it. We don't want to go into the type of denial. I'm not talking about denials and affirmations. Those are good denials that we use in Unity, but the type of denial, you want to process it instead. You don't resist the things that are coming up. And so, what can you do after that? You release it so that you can renew and become awakened, right? So, that's just kind of what I'm talking about. Something you can do just in your daily life, or just make it a point in meditation. I don't know. You can always draw it back to the physical, because just as nature is continuously regenerating, we too can always renew ourselves in body, mind, and soul. True renewal begins with one's thoughts. Like number 3 in here, thoughts become, what is it? Our thoughts have created power to determine events and attract experiences. Yeah, exactly. That. So by releasing old patterns of fear, limitation, doubt, you create space for divine wisdom to flow in, for strength, being brave like the daily word is today. I thought that was really good. I oftentimes will look ahead to see what the daily word is going to be in the day that I speak or sing. I didn't this time, and it's like really cool what it was about, being brave. And that's what this is about. You know, it's actually opening the space for that wisdom and that strength to flow through you without resistance. That's non-resistance. Renewal is an opportunity for transformation. I know we talk about transformation a lot, but that's truly what it is. When I affirm the truth of my being, I awaken afresh to the divine infinite life within me. And I'm made new, or made anew, in awareness, purpose, and joy. You gotta have light, you gotta have love, you gotta have joy. Right? And so let's get physical for a minute as far as regeneration goes. Every human being on this earth who eats and drinks and walks and talks on the surface of this world, or this earth, is within himself also a world. I know we probably thought of this before, but according to some scientific estimations, and I have to look at this too, a person is populated by this staggering total of 100 trillion inhabitants, right? Our world called Earth has just, I think in the last year or so, gone over 8 billion. I think we're like 8.4 now or something. Almost 8.5 billion inhabitants. But think about that. We have 100 trillion inhabitants inside of us. A trillion is 1,000 billions of anything. 1,000 billions. Think of that for a second. A staggering number. That's almost as much money as some of these people have, but never mind, get me away from that. So, that's what our national debt will be now. And it is said that each of us has in his individual human body, world, or their world, 100,000 billion inhabitants. And those are, guess what? Cells. That's what we're talking about, right? Our cellular structure. Cells are to a living thing, like us, to what the population is to the earth. I love thinking of things in that macro world. I used to do that myself when I was even in college. I was an avant-garde music composer back then. I was trying to be. I don't know how. I wasn't, trying to. But I would think in these microscopic terms. If I wrote a little motif that had these notes in it, that was really like a short little phrase, but I would take those same notes and make it over the whole 10-minute period of the piece and have those cycle over. There's some conceptual macro relationship there. I don't know if anybody ever picked up on that kind of stuff, but it is a nice conceptual thing, and maybe they did psychoacoustically. You don't know what our consciousness picked out, So the cell being the basic structural unit of any living organism. Every organ, every tissue of our body is composed of these cells, right? And I think it's a marvelous provision that God, or just creation, or emanated through, no matter what you believe as far as how things are formed, evolutionary, I always believe that God created evolution. I mean, so they all work together. It's like, it's not like either or, this whole thing. But I think creation itself, whatever it is made for the constant rebirth of these countless little cell inhabitants. And if they're not regenerating, we can't continue to have life or continue to have health. Healthy cells exhibit non-resistance, right? That's a perfect example. That's where I'm going. Healthy cells in your body exhibit non-resistance in renewing themselves. So why shouldn't we in our consciousness? Spiritually, right? So, faith and grace are part of that non-resistant mode. Faith doesn't require you to resist. If you have faith, you're not resisting. If you believe grace, whatever you want to look at it as, it's there for the taking. It's not there for, you don't have to ask for grace. It's there. In other words, you don't have to earn it. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a non-resistant way of moving through consciousness. And I know right now, I always talk about social justice some. I know you guys know this. But I know we're witnessing historic levels of divisiveness, and those are fomented by fear. Fear is resistance. And untruthful diatribes intended to pit people against each other. We're seeing it all the time. That's a perfect example of evil. Now, evil is really only the concealment of good. But that's humanity's insistence on perpetuating division, strife, and war. And those are all outward manifestations of our resistance to truth, the oneness. If you're resisting the truth of oneness, you're going to create things that are, fomented by fear, strife, division, and things of that nature. I truly think that's some of what we're going. It's a shift in consciousness that's going to bring us to a place of oneness. So once one discovers that what they are, being a divine spiritual being in a physical body, all related, right? The walls of resistance break down and flow, and that flow commences. How? Well, Charles Fillmore, for example, our co-founder of Unity, said this: you have an inner guide, and if you will be still and listen, it will lead you unerringly. Now, error is also used as, that's the word we use for sin, unerringly into paths of peace, health, and prosperity. So, I release limitations and allow divine intuition to guide me into self-love as well. And that's one thing else. Renewal to self. Renew your subscription to yourself means renewing your subscription to self-love as well. So, we can create, just like God, because we are the divine within. We can create anything we want to if you're aligned with good intention in divine order. That's co-creating. Now, people say, you can create anything you want to. I hear that sometimes from people. Well, within reason. I'm not going to say, just because I think it, I'm going to be able to bounce out of this room and my mother needs me to move something in her house, which is 40 miles away. I'm going to appear there in just a second. I'm going to do it, anything I want to. Now, I don't think I could physically align myself to believe that I could really do that. Now, maybe if I could just become telekinetic, but who knows, right? I'm going off on a limb here, but it's funny, you can create anything that you want to if you're aligned with that truth, and then you have to take the steps to do it. That's important because, faith, there's all sorts of ancient societies, like the Toltecs, for example, the ancient Mexican one's always called intention into divine order. And so, back to what we are, which is a manifestation of life. How can you translate that into something that others will understand? When their minds are full of some weird mythology that you can't do this, there's an external God. This is not inside me. Once we all realize that we are that life, that love, that's renewal, that's awakening. So I think it's really important to me to trust the timing of what we're going through now. And the time that we're entering stuff, that we're entering into this world of stuff, and I didn't mean to say that, but we're entering into, just trust that voice, inner voice, sometimes called the still small voice. In my case, sometimes it's a really loud voice, but the timing is really important, because I think we're in a time right now. Does anybody feel that, as far as, I think the time of awakening is now. And the more, we can't just sit back and just think about it. We'll have to take some love into action in here. I'm going totally off script here, but I think the serendipitous timing, I think about that a lot in songs. I thought about doing Awakening Through Serendipity today, but I played it so much, I said, nah, I'll do a new song. That's why I did the new one. But it's our time on this path and to awakening, and I believe, I mentioned this last time when I was talking about divine order, and I quoted Alice Walker, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." It's a really important quote, because that is not only a message of hope, but it's also a call to action. We're the ones, this is our time. And we could do this from a totally loving way. I mentioned this also, I just completed a course. Did I tell you guys the course I was taking last semester called The Christ in All?
Yeah, you'd mentioned that last time, yeah.
Yeah, but its subtitle is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Unity.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm singing about those things, because it really all interplays together, how we approach each other and how we think about each other and how we work in the world, seeing the Christ in all. It doesn't have to be like vitriolic fighting back and forth. You know, we're all born deserving equality, equity, and justice, to be who we want to be. And that doesn't have to be earned either. It's just like grace. It's there for us. And that may not be totally apparent, because there's a lot of people that want you to believe you didn't earn that. You don't deserve that. You know, the story of the prodigal son is a perfect example of that, I just thought, you know. But a person who wasn't Jesus, you get paid as much as the person who worked 5 minutes who got, it just, everything's relative in this physical realm. So, to experience an awakened state of grace through renewal is truly the kingdom of heaven within. And as opposed to some kingdom of heaven that's with some external God, punishing God, no, the kingdom of heaven within us. That's what differentiates true awakening, because many are looking for a kingdom, but they don't know where to look. Just look inside. Like Charles Fillmore said, you have an inner guide. Don't look outside yourself. You can look to others and talk and be beautifully loving, communicating, and share all that. But let's go with our flow on a path of non-resistance as we awaken to our inner awakening. Now, I keep playing, I just felt like playing background music to what I was talking about. I've never done that before, but might as well. I do play a lot of music when I talk, as you know, but I also, what do I always quote from? The Tao Te Ching. I think I've made that sort of a, if I have any religious practices, it's the fact that I'm going to look for a Tao verse that fits something I'm talking about. As sure as I'm going to practice guitar. This is from chapter 43. This is an elegant, kind of an ethereal one, so it's not like the last one was huge. The softest things of the world override the hardest things of the world. That which has no substance enters into that which has no opening. From this, I know the benefits of unattached actions, the teaching without words, the benefits of actions without attachment, are rarely matched in the world. Now, it would be hard to teach without words. We'd have to master some other form of telepathy, but I think the message is kind of good. Unattached action. All right, so in conclusion, once again, let's learn to go with our own inner flow through and on a path of non-resistance to renewal and awakening. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm going to continue this talk with a song, which will get us into meditation, but it's not the meditation song. I felt very compelled to play a song, another song that I just brought back recently called Peace Prayer, that I co-wrote with another artist named Wayne Briggs a number of years ago. And I think it fits because it's about co-creating your own reality. It's a Sanskrit piece, but and then we'll get into meditation shortly after that. Asatoma Sadgalaya Tamasoma Jyotirgalaya Richurma Amritam Galaya Asatoma Sadgalaya Tamasoma Jyotirgalaya Richurma Amritam Lead me from the unreal to the real, from the darkness to the light. From mortality, lead me to immortality. Lead us from the darkness to the light, from the unhealed to the healed. From this old reality, let us create a new reality. Asatoma Sadgalaya Tamasoma Jyotirgalaya Richurma Amritam Galaya. Lead us from eternal war into peace, from fear into love. With the joy of serenity, let us co-create this new reality. Lead us from the sorrow to the joyous, from the unreal, oh, to the real. And from their blindness, let them see into infinity. Asatoma Sadgalaya Tamasoma Jyotirgalaya Richurma Amritam Galaya.
That's good. Thank you.